Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Build Better with Coach Takara Nicole. And listen, I'm just going to come on here. I just said every Wednesday to be committed to stay consistent. I'm going to come on here every Wednesday just to have some dialogue conversations about how we can build better. All right, so I want you guys to come in the room, say hello. If you're watching the replay, click replay. I'm just going to give it a couple minutes, not a lot. I'm going to just dive right into the conversation. And you guys know how I do. I just simply um, just allow, okay, hold on. I just let the conversation flow whenever you guys come in, hop into the conversation. But I want to be committed to helping us to build better in whatever it is you're building, whether you're building life, whether you're building your business, ministry, the principles and the foundation of things do not change. Good morning, Taryn. They do not change. What changes oftentimes is just the place in which it's going to operate, right? So what you're building doesn't change. So let me just tag a couple people in this live. How are you doing, Taryn? I'm praying you guys are having a great day. I just gonna tag a few folks in the room. And then we gonna get into this conversation. It's real random, so it's just whatever I hear, whatever I feel like we need. Sometimes it's based off of what I've seen. Um, all right. All right. So listen, let's talk. So today's topic is centered around the story you keep telling yourself. All right. The story you keep telling yourself. The story you keep telling yourself. And I think it's important for us to understand that a lot of our inner dialogue is what dictates how we move and how we grow. I'm going to say that again. Our inner dialogue, it dictates how we move and how we grow. And so today's topic is centered around the story that we keep telling ourselves. And I don't think that we realize how much inner talk, self-talk, those type of conversations, how they lead us to different places. And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes places that you don't necessarily want to go. And so every business, every in life is built two times, right? It's built first in your mind and then in reality. And so if your thinking is broken, your execution will eventually become broken. All right. So everything that you build, you first see it in your mind and then it becomes a reality. Again, this is life and business. Whatever you see, you're first going to see it here. Right. But the second time you see it, you guys, my prayer, even I built my coaching on my goal is that whatever you see in your head, it gets to your hand. Right. And so whatever you first, whatever you decide that you want to do is first in your mind and then it's in your hand. But what makes the difference between whether it shows up in your hand, right, is your ability to execute. But oftentimes, our inability to execute has a lot to do with how we think about things, right? Your perception. And even when I did the webinar, we're doing the webinar again tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, yes. Even when I did the webinar, as we begin to journey through talking about vision, listen, everybody on the line, this is a actual working session. So if you're getting on the webinar and you're thinking that, we're just gonna talk and I'm just gonna talk to you, I'm not. It is a working webinar. So everyone is sharing with us their vision. They're sharing with us, what they feel like they're called to do, what they're going to do, right? But at the end of the call or the webinar, the issue was never about the vision, right? It was never about what they were building. It had everything to do with the conversations that they have with themselves. I'm telling y'all, this is about to bless you today. Listen, tag some people in the room. I'm about to shift your life. Everything that we talked about on the line, vision, movement, resources, they had people, all of those kind of things. You can have everything that you desire, right? But if you do not correct the conversation and the dialogue that you have within yourself concerning who you are, what you're called to do, who you are called to, what you're supposed to be doing, if that inner dialogue is not corrected, you will not be able to execute. Right. And so today I want to ask you this question is what is the conversation you have been having with yourself lately? Good morning, sister. What is the conversation that you have been having with yourself lately? Because the reality is that the conversation that you have with you that you've been having with yourself is showing up in your movements. It's showing up in your actions. It's showing up in your day-to-day life. So not the one you've been having with your family, not the one that you've been having on social media, the one that you have, sister, when nobody is listening. That's the conversation I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the conversation that you had with yourself when you pulled up to the front of your house and everybody in the house didn't know you were sitting outside, but you were sitting outside. I want to talk to you about the conversation that you had inside of your office when everybody out there was getting ready for service on Sunday and you were getting ready to prepare to preach. I want to talk about that conversation because it's that conversation is the reason why many of us are not seeing results in our life, right? Because that conversation right there is shaping every decision that you make. Listen, if you're just coming in, you stepped into what we call build better, because I'm tired of watching people complain. I'm tired of watching people be in lack. I'm tired of watching people, not have a certain level of success. I'm tired of people starting and then you're stopping, starting and then you're stopping. There's no consistency in your life. Let me tell you. And all of those things stem from what I'm talking about this morning, the conversation that you are having with yourself. That conversation that you are having with yourself is the conversation that is shaping every decision that you make. I'm telling you, I came to help y'all this morning. All right. So listen to this. Your story becomes your strategy. Your story becomes your strategy. So whatever you believe, you eventually build around, right? Whatever story that you believe. This is why healing is so important, but also being around people that support your healing, right? Being in communities that support your healing. Why? Because the story that you tell yourself then becomes your strategy. So whatever you believe, you eventually build around. So if you believe that you can do it, you will build a plan around it. If you believe that you cannot do it, guess what? You're not going to build a plan around it. Let me tell you what you will build. Hear me this morning. You will build excuses. You will build distractions. That's what many of us do, right? You have this thought in your mind that I can build this business, I can be better, I can be healed, I desire relationship. But this is the thing, whatever you tell yourself, right, then becomes what you build around. And so some of us, you're not building a business, some of you are building a bunch of excuses. Good morning, Sister Otilia. Some of you are building a bunch of distractions. I was preaching last week about Jonah, and listen, Jonah. The story of Jonah is so much in it. We didn't talk about 4 weeks. You can teach about 4 to 5 weeks off of this one scripture, one part of it. But listen, Jonah funded his own distractions. Jonah funded his own distractions. Hear me. He funded his distraction. God told him to go somewhere else and he paid to go somewhere else. And so, whatever you keep telling yourself, good morning, Barbara, good morning, Apostle Phillips, whatever you keep continuously telling yourself, right, is what you will build. And so Jonah was telling himself that those people don't deserve me. I'm not supposed to go there. And what did he do? He paid money to go somewhere else. Can I tell y'all, there are many of you on the line this morning that God is giving you a vision, but the story that you have told yourself, the story that you recite every single day, the story that you've been telling yourself as you are sitting in the driveway of your house, that exact story, now you have built a way out of it, of what God has told you to do. So Your story becomes your strategy. Y'all stay with me. Your story becomes your strategy. So you will eventually build around it. So if you believe you're too late, if you believe that you move slower, if you believe no one will buy from you, you stop selling. If you believe you're not qualified, you stop showing up, right? So your business will never consistently outperform your beliefs. If you're taking notes, that's a good one. Your business will never consistently outperform your beliefs. Whatever you believe is how you consistently show up. So if you believe that you cannot do it, guess what? You're not going to show up strong. You're not going to show up with confidence. You're not going to show up with thinking that you're able to do it. All right? Confidence isn't given, confidence is earned, right? How? By keeping promises to yourself. Confidence isn't given, confidence is earned. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your level of confidence begins to increase. When I'm coaching people, the reason why I say, hey, let's start small so that we can build is because when you start small, we can measure your success. We can measure what you've done well. We can measure step by step, what's happening. And so it builds a level of confidence because now I've been able to. So, example, if I got a person that is ready to host a conference, right? This is literally, I'm going to tell y'all the step by step. They tell me this is my plan. I'm like, okay, cool. You want to host a conference? All right. This is the first thing that we need to do. We need to map out every single thing that we need in order for this conference to happen. Okay. So, you need speakers. You know that you need a venue. You know that you need, you're going to need marketing materials. You know that you're going to need decorations, whatever it is. We literally plan it out. Then after we have written out everything that we know that we need to do, then we begin to label it as the level of importance, right? So before I ask my speaker, maybe I need a venue because I need my speaker to know where they're coming to, right? So I need to secure the venue. So maybe securing the venue is step one for me. All right. Whatever your steps are, maybe a little bit different. After you secure the venue, then what do you do? All right. Then I'm going to ask my speakers. After I secure my speakers, then what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you how you seek success, right? And so, and after you've done your speakers, then you do X, Y, and Z. Then you keep on going. Now I'm going to market it, right? And when I tell you poor planning is not spiritual warfare, right? So you can't poor planly and then lie and say that God didn't want you to do it. No, you didn't plan correctly. All right. Anyway, so confidence isn't given, it's earned. But what I learned is that at every level of what we are building and how things map out, when they secured the venue, now I kept a promise to myself. My confidence has increased. Now I've secured the speakers. My confidence level has increased. Now I'm out here marketing. I'm promoting it. I'm letting people know what's getting ready to happen. I'm passing out flyers. I'm giving out cards. I'm making connections with people. Right now, my confidence level has increased. Now, I've had my first conference, right? And maybe only 10 people showed up, or maybe 20 people, or maybe 50 people. And in my mind, I thought 100 people was going to come. But guess what? You're looking at the wrong thing because my confidence has increased because I've done something, right? But see, if you keep on allowing your self-talk to keep you from realizing that you really are making progress. What are the conversations today? If you're just now joining us, we're talking about how the conversations that we have within ourselves is what shapes our reality. It's what shapes how we build. What you see is what you create a strategy around. All right. By keeping promises to yourself, that's how confidence is built. So I'll start Monday. I finish my website. I post consistently, right? I'm going to pay off this bill. I'm going to pay down this debt. I'm going to launch. But every time you don't keep a promise to yourself, y'all hear me so good this morning. For y'all that's on the line, I know y'all came for a reason. Every time you don't, your subconscious remembers. Every time you don't follow through what you said, your subconscious remembers. And this is why I got a lot of people that I'm working with that are dealing with. This is why I'm saying, y'all, that vision without structure is frustration. Because a lot of us have vision, right? But because there's no structure, you are frustrated in what you are building. And so, because there's frustration, guess what? Here comes the self talk and how we talk to ourselves. And so every time you don't follow through what you said that you were going to do, your subconscious remembers. And eventually This is where some of y'all are at right now this morning. I'm telling y'all, I come on here and I tell you what the Lord saying. That's all I got. Every time you don't, you stop trusting yourself. Some of you got great ideas, amazing ideas, vision. I mean, everywhere we turn, we know that you got something written down that you see. But the problem is that because of the lack of follow through, you eventually have stopped trusting yourself to do it. And every broken promise to yourself becomes evidence against your confidence. So you don't, a lot of times people say, and it's true. A lot of people say, like when you get up there, like you're just so confident in what you're building. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I follow through. I'm gonna be honest. Execution is your biggest weapon. And I don't execute simply because I want to be seen, and I don't execute simply because um I don't know what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is understanding that execution is what got me here. And my level of confidence that you see comes from a place of I'm not afraid to execute. I'm not afraid to go forth. I'm not afraid to follow through. I kept promises to myself. When I said I was going to show up, I showed up. Like right now, lives are not my friend. I know people think that they're my friend, but I do this because I want to be consistent. It's not about what I feel, it's about what I know that I need to do. And so some of us, we don't do things because of our feelings. And I've been preaching about that too at church. You don't do certain things because you don't like to do it. Well, I don't like to stay up and I don't like a morning routine and I don't like to do this. That's why some people don't work out because I don't like what that looks like, right? But if you don't like that, then you don't like results. And so some of us are in the place that we're in because you want to talk about so much about what you don't like. Going live, like it takes me forever. But I've learned, listen, I've learned just to get confident. I don't always have to beat my face when I go live. I don't always have to have my hair done when I go live. But before I felt like that was what I had to do. I felt like I had to always beat my face and I always had to, my hair had to always look a certain type of way. There's days I get on here and I got a bun on top of my head. That's not the way I want to. But because I want to show up consistently, I don't allow those things to stop me. But what happens is self-talk gets in the way because we look at how other people show up and we're like, well, if I don't show up like that, people are not going to hear me. I used to think I had to have a big old, someone told me I needed a certain type of microphone. I need a certain type of backdrop. I needed all those different things before I could go live. And I felt like if I didn't have those things, hey, I didn't go live. So for almost 6 months to a year, I stopped going live because I was like, well, maybe I need to get the microphone. I need to get the backdrop. I'm helping somebody today. I need to have all those things before people will listen to me, before people will follow me. And if my backdrop is not like, but then I realized that if you got something worth saying, people don't care where you are. They don't care if you have a microphone in your hand. You just have to have something worth saying. And if you do the work on having something worth saying, it doesn't matter what room you show it up in or where you are, people will hear you. And so because I spent more time with I feel the Holy Ghost, because I spent more time having something to say versus trying to look a certain type of way, people don't mind listening. And this is what I'm teaching y'all tomorrow night, is that I'm tired of people with logos and websites and these flyers showing up to look a certain type of way, but they don't got no substance. We don't do the work on the back end, and you don't do the work on the back end, eventually it begins to show up. So this is why I'm saying we got to build better. And a lot of times we can't build better because we have created strategies around our story. Let me bring it back in, right? You've created a strategy around the story that you tell yourself. So the story that you told yourself when you were sitting in the car the other day is that people don't want to listen to me because if I don't got makeup on, I don't think I'm cute, right? Or they're not going to think I'm cute. Or if I'm doing a video in my car, people are not going to respond and not going to respect me. That's the story that you told yourself. And so the strategy that you have created is a bunch of excuses. Come on. The strategy that you have created is a bunch of distractions. The strategy now that you created around that story now is I got to set certain things up. But here's the thing. What happens when you wake up and you ain't got enough time to beat your face? Right? When you ain't got enough time to groom, when you ain't got enough time to cut your hair, you ain't got enough time to put put your stuff in your beard, put your stuff in your hair to make you look a certain type of way. What happens when you don't have enough time to do those things? Does your assignment stop? So every single time you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, it does something to your confidence. It does something to your subconscious. Then now you don't do nothing. Now you don't want to do nothing. Now you don't trust yourself to follow through. And every broken promise to yourself becomes the evidence against your confidence. All right. Point number 3. Stop collecting evidence that you cannot trust yourself. All right. So this is where many of us, we're going to get a little emotional, right? But how many times have you written down a goal, brought a notebook, brought a planner, started a business, started a diet, right? Started the book, started the course, and quit? Every time you teach yourself, I don't finish. I'm going to help y'all to build better. I just came here this morning to help you build a little bit better. Every time you don't finish what you started, you teach yourself that I'm not a finisher. I teach myself that I don't follow through. I teach myself that there is no execution, right? And so what I'm trying to do is change the evidence. That's why I built these webinars. That's why I come live, so that we can change the evidence against ourselves. Where I've taught myself that I don't follow through. Well, give me one thing. I came on here a couple weeks ago and I said, everybody, I'm going to challenge you to do one thing this week. I don't care if you write one chapter. I don't care if you write one part of the book. I don't care if you eat one meal well per day, whatever that looks like for you. I don't care if you block their phone number, right? We're protecting our healing. I wanted you to do one thing, because that one thing is the evidence that I am a finisher, right? That one thing is evidence that I'm going to follow through. And I use that now to then and now it becomes a continuous something that I do. All right, I wrote one chapter. Now, when am I? Let me put a date and a time. Okay, well, this Wednesday I wrote a chapter. Next Wednesday I'm going to write a chapter. It's not the whole book, but the point is that I'm further than what I was last week. And I'll continuously say this, is that the reason why some of us struggle so heavy, and I can teach you this because I've been there, is because you can see the whole picture, right? You can see the whole picture. And the problem is because you cannot do the whole picture, you don't want to do one part. And so you have to learn how one part gets you to the next, that gets you to the next, that gets you to the next. When you buy the puzzle and you see the outside of the box, they're just showing you what it's supposed to look like. But it takes putting all of the pieces together for you to see the end result. And the problem is that you keep looking at the box and looking at the puzzle pieces and looking at the box and looking at the puzzle pieces, and you're trying to measure what you see. But the reality is that if you don't keep putting the pieces together, you'll never see what the box looks like. And so my job as your coach, right, is to teach you and to push you to keep putting it together. Keep putting the pieces together. Stop stopping because you keep looking at the box. Because you can see the building. I used to struggle. I can see the building. I can see my name on the building, but I can never get to me walking in that building if I don't keep putting the pieces together. And some of us can't put the pieces together. Why? Because of the very thing that we're talking about today. Because of our conversations. The conversation that you have within yourself. What do you keep telling yourself? What do you keep saying to yourself, Michelle? Tanae, what does your daily conversation look like? Right? Even I told y'all this has everything to do with life, right? You're not going to be healed if you continuously keep saying I'm not going to be healed. Oh, I'll never get over them. I'll never not need them. Like they were the love of my life. Like I'll never get over you. And you won't. You know why? Because we build around what we say. And so if your constant communication within yourself is what you're never going to do, what's never going to happen, how it's never going to show up, what you won't be able to do, then guess what? You won't. Because the conversation that you told yourself. And so today, my job and my assignment is to help us to change our evidence, help us to change our conversation. We don't realize how much our conversation literally, y'all, it shapes everything that we do. I mean, everything that we do. Oh, they don't want to hear from me. So you don't do nothing. I've been there. I'm ministering. It's the one that lives on the line. And I felt like, I could understand what she was saying. Like I felt like I needed to go back to school. I felt like I needed to do, I needed to get some type of business degree before people would hear what I had to say. Then I had to realize that's not true. That was the story I told myself. And because of that story that I kept telling myself, it kept making me be stagnant. Right? Because I kept feeling like people I needed to go to school. I was waiting to go back to school before I got started. But then I was waiting to go to school because I was like, well, do I have the time to go to school? And then I was like, well, do I really want to go to school? And so all of those conversations, can I help somebody this morning? Some of you are not in delay because it's not promised to you. You're in delay because of how you talk to yourself. You're your own delay. So you know what you're supposed to do, but you don't want to follow through with it because self told you that this is what you needed to do. Self-talk told you this is how it needs to go. And because yourself is not measured by facts, right? I told you my friend, he told me this, and I tell y'all all the time, I don't try to take credit for nothing that nobody say, but I say like you have to measure your feelings with facts, right? And oftentimes the conversations that we have within ourselves are a lot of times our feelings. It's not facts. It's not. Oftentimes, the conversations that I had was because of how I felt. And so I begin to build around how I feel. And many of you on the line, you keep building around how you feel and not based off the facts of what you know. And what I know is because God has given me this, He's opened up the door, then guess what? It's where I'm supposed to be. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I won't allow the conversations that myself try to have. Because this is what I'm saying. When you're talking to yourself, it's just you and you. Well, you know they don't want to hear from you. There's no one to measure. This is why accountability is so important. There's no one to come behind you and measure to say right or wrong, right? But when I'm talking to someone else, I'm like, you know what, girl, look, maybe they don't want to hear from me. My accountability says, well, why do you feel like they don't want to hear from you? What are the facts around this? Now, are you not consistent? Are you not trustworthy? That's why people don't want to hear from you. Because if those are not the facts, then yes, people do want to hear from you. But some of y'all, it's the reality because you haven't done the work. What did I tell y'all earlier? I said the reason why I can stand confidently and do what I do and say what I say because I've done the work. I stopped trying to make things pretty. Now I've learned over time, like, okay, I got my website, I got things and I make those kind of things. But I've learned over time that some of those things don't matter. Even I have my conferences, like I want to be able to invest the money on, I'm gonna help some of you that want to have conferences, right? Hear me. I want to be able to make my conferences look pretty. Have you ever been to a real pretty conference, but then when you left the conference, you didn't get nothing? Yeah, I've been there. You ever been to a real nice church conference and convention, all that, and everything looked good and it looked nice, but it wasn't no substance? Yep, I've been there. You ever been to a birthday party and you're like, oh my God, like, everything looks so good and you get there and the food is nasty? Yeah, I've been there. And so what I'm trying to teach you is that a lot of times we spend a lot of money on how the outside looks and we spend less time on what the inside looks. So when I have conferences and things, my goal is to bring in the best speakers. Sometimes the best speakers go into my decorations budget. But I'd rather pay them so you get substance than to be concerned about, do I got five arches around this room? That's not what I'm concerned about. My concern is that you get what you need when you get here. I'm all for, hear me. I am all for making sure that the house of God looks amazing, looks beautiful. But a lot of people are, a lot of churches are broke because you got a lot of money spent on looking on the outside of how things are supposed to look, but there's no substance. You have spent no time with your leaders. I would much rather take my leaders on a retreat and spend time with them and build them up so that the substance of what we are putting out is good. But we got things wrong. We want everything to look good and there's no substance. This is the problem with a lot of houses. You guys have heard me talk about this. This is what I'm talking about. We're going to build better. Hear me, follow me, stay with me. Because we spend a lot of money, right, trying to make people happy, trying to make our spouses happy, right, trying to make our kids happy, to look a certain type of way, when the reality is they just want your time. This is why I told my kids, I said, listen, y'all know I'm always transparent, so it doesn't matter. They're like, we're getting ready to move, and like they're used to, where we are right now. And I'm like, listen, the goal is I just need to get to Maryland, and I want to be able to spend time, right? So I'm not concerned about going and getting a big house and all the things that you think that we're supposed to get, because that means I gotta work more. I don't want to work more, because my goal is I want to spend time, that substance. You worrying about a extra part of a room, and my concern is I want to spend time with you. You're going to want my time. You're not going to be concerned about this and that and all the things that I'm going to be concerned about. I'm trying to help y'all to build better. So what I'm saying is that we got to stop spending money on things, and doing things to look a certain type of way when the substance of who we are is dwindling. It's great that you want to show up and look a certain type of way. I think all of us do. But don't allow those things to hinder you. This self-talk of, I remember someone telling me that I needed to go in and get another car because if I pulled up in my car, then I might not be received. And I was like, if they dictate what I drive based off the substance that comes out of my mouth, then you not my people anyway. I'm sorry. Those are not circles I desire to be in. So some of y'all are spending a lot of money because self-talk, right, has made you believe that you have to show up a certain type of way for people to receive you. That you gotta have a Louis bag, and you got just like this, and you gotta have this, and you gotta have this type of thing, and you gotta show up looking like this. Now, one thing about it, two things for sure. When I show up, I'm gonna show up looking nice, but I'm not gonna break the bank to show up. I can tell you that right now. That ain't me. That ain't what I do. Now, if you have it, that's one thing. Cool. But stop thinking that you have to have certain things. And that's all I'm trying to get to. Because I'm not trying to say that nice things are not that are bad, and that I don't want you to have nice things, because I believe that wealth is our portion. Like that's what God is. God has desires for us to be wealthy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that us that try to live outside of our means, to try to grab people or try to show up a certain type of way because you have created this strategy around how you talk to yourself, and you talk to yourself, and yourself has told you that if you don't have these things, people don't listen to you, and if you don't have these things, that people won't respond to you, and if you don't have these things, that people are not going to hear what you have to say. That's what I'm trying to get to. That you got to have all of the things in the background. Some of y'all been was like, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast, right? And you're going to start a podcast because you think that you're supposed to have like this big backdrop. You're supposed to have all these different things before you get started. Some of y'all don't get started because you're like, oh, I don't have people. But people come to consistency. People don't follow me because I'm the greatest of all time, right? There's a lot of people that probably preach and teach better than I do, which is fine. I'm going to tell you why people do follow me, though. People follow me because I'm consistent. I know. It's not a brag or a boast. It's called confidence. I'm consistent. People follow what they can see. You don't consistently show up. People don't know who you are. But your self-talk has made you believe. And I'm telling you, and the reason why I can tell you guys this is because I've been there before. I've been in the place where I wasn't consistent, right? But what I've learned is that people can trust you when you are consistent. When you are in and out, back and forth, all over the place, people cannot trust you. Who want you? You wouldn't follow someone that's inconsistent. So how do you expect that you being inconsistent, people are going to want to follow you? I know this is a tight church, but listen, this is the right church at the right time. This is my job to push you. Social people watch patterns and behaviors. Absolutely. People are watching you even when you don't think that they're watching you. I went to the shop the other day, and some of my clients are my friends. Not all of them are my friends on social media. So all of my clients don't know, what I do or what I got going on, right? But one of my clients came and I haven't seen her, y'all. It's been some years since I've seen her. So her hair's a little haywire. She's coming back around, right? But the crazy part about it is I did not know she was watching. And she said, I'm loving everything that you're doing. She said, I'm loving watching God move through you. She was like, I got to get to the well. You don't even know that people are watching you. You don't even know that people are looking at what you're doing. People are watching your behaviors. They're watching how you show up. So in the good and the bad, whether I feel it or I don't, I got to show up. It's my assignment. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't want delay to hit my life. And some of you are in a spiral. Hear me. Some of you are in a spiral of delay. And you are in a spiral of delay simply because you're not consistent. You don't show up consistently. And I made a post the other day and I said, we can't get mad about the people with the platforms if we're not consistently showing up. People can only follow what they see. So today's conversation was wrapped around being able to understand the story you are telling yourself. And the story that you are telling yourself, it shapes your behaviors. And the story that you are telling yourself, it shapes your beliefs. Because here's the thing, what you believe about yourself is how you behave. If you believe nobody wants to hear you, you behave like nobody wants to hear you. If you believe that you're not important, you behave like you're not important. If you believe that you can't do it, you behave like you can't do it. So today, I need us to change the conversation. And here's the thing, if you are struggling with your self talk, this is the real reason why affirmations came in. Not as like these cute things that people like to take video on and they want to video themselves saying things about themselves. No, affirmations is a real thing, it's real. And so this is why affirmations are important because affirmations help to keep my mind clear, help to keep my mind focused. Even when it seems like things are not right, I affirm myself. I affirm where I am. I affirm where I'm going. So, yes, I may feel like people don't want to hear from me, but what do you say to yourself? Right? Because feelings don't have the final say. It's not about what you feel, it's about what I know. And so, this is where self talk, where affirmations come in. Because what you say about yourself is what you believe about yourself, which means what is the things that I begin to do. And so affirmations come in because I may feel a certain type of way, but what do I say? Right? I may feel like people don't want to hear from me, but I affirm myself to say, but they do want to hear from me. I have something to say, right? You may feel like you're not beautiful, but I affirm myself that I am beautiful because what I say shapes how I show up. So a lot of us we're not building right. We're not building correctly. We are stuck right now in our build. And we're stuck in our build because of how the story that we have told ourselves. We are stuck in what we're building because of what we have said has made the decision of how we show up. Like I told y'all earlier, I said Jonah funded his own distraction. Literally, he was his own holdup. He was his own delay. And many of you on the line this morning, you are your own. He had listen, God told him what to do, and he had a conversation with himself. And the conversation that he had within himself was they don't deserve God's mercy. And based off of the conversation, I'm going to show y'all real life what it looked like. Based off of the conversation that he had within himself, he decided that he was going to go the opposite direction of what God told. God, you are a prophet and you hear from God, and God literally is telling you what to do, and you literally go the opposite way of what God is telling you to do because you talk to yourself and yourself said they don't deserve this. And so I made a decision based off of how I talk to myself. Let me help y'all. Some of y'all are dealing with the same thing. God is giving you vision. You see vision for your life. You've been told you are healed. You are delivered. You are free. You're going to have X, Y, and Z. You are a leader, blah, blah, blah. But the story that you have told yourself, the conversation that you've had within yourself has caused you to go the opposite direction of what you know God has called you to do and to be. Something simple. I'm the head and not the tail. I mean, that's the word. I'm just going to give y'all the word. Just something simple as that. But then when you get in the car and you talk to yourself, when you get in the office while praise and worship is going on and you're sitting in your chair talking to yourself, you know that he said that you're the head and not the tail. But then you start measuring. You went and looked on somebody else's live while your praise and worship was going on, and you're like, well, my live don't look like that. My church don't look like that. My people don't look like that. And you begin to measure. You begin to talk to yourself. And the story that you told yourself was, because I don't look like that, then you've now put yourself in the category of the tail. I didn't put you there. You put yourself there. So now you walk around in defeat. Now you walk around in delay. You don't move forward. You don't make progression. You don't do things. Why? Because of the story that you told yourself. You know you're supposed to be out here building businesses, right? But the story that you told yourself was, if I don't have X, Y, and Z, I can't build. That's the story you told yourself. That wasn't the truth. It was just what you told yourself. And so the delay that you feel is not because it's not for you. It's not meant for you. It doesn't belong to you. The delay that you feel is because of how you talk to yourself. So we're going to build better. We're going to build better businesses. We're going to build better people. We're going to be a better people because we're going to change how we talk to ourselves. Not because oftentimes we blame other people, but it really be us. And so this is why a lot of times in coaching, these are the first things that I deal with. The first conversations that I have, the first things that I'm talking about is what I'm talking to you about right now. Because what I find is that when I'm coaching people, people don't have a vision problem. Some people don't. And their execution problem, remember I told you guys earlier, is that the story you tell yourself determines how you show up, right? So the problem that I see is that people don't necessarily have an execution problem. They got a mindset problem because how you see your reality dictates how you move. So you got vision, but the disconnect in between the two has everything to do with your mindset. We when we compare ourselves with others more times than not, we come up short, and that feeds the negative self-talk. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Miss Michelle. Anybody listen, if you got something to say, drop it in the chat. I know some of you are probably working and driving or whatever, and you just decided to hop on today. And I really appreciate this. And I know this word is going to help somebody to build better. But oftentimes, that's why I said comparison is the thief of joy. They talk about it all the time. We compare ourselves to everybody and to everything, and that's why a lot of times we're struggling. So the problem is never. And so a lot of times, even as I'm coaching people, it's really getting people to understand. This is why the coaching is important, right? Because the step-by-step direction, the step-by-step instruction, the accountability, having a business partner, having someone that partners with me on what I'm doing, it helps me to balance out this self-talk because now you got to talk to me. And so when you talk to me, I'm not listening to those negative thoughts. I'm not going to allow you to talk negative about what you're supposed to be building. I'm going to keep you focused. And it may not be me, maybe there's another coach or another person in your life that can do those things for you. But it's very important for you to have accountability. Accountability is super important. All right. So listen, that's all I have today. I gotta go about my day. I told y'all I am doing my best to be consistent. All right, y'all. So y'all gotta cheer me on in the chat, and y'all gotta cheer me on in real life, because I promise y'all I'm doing the best that I can to show up. I do not like going live. I told y'all I don't, but it's not about my feelings, right? It's just what I know I'm assigned to do. And so I've been there where I can say, y'all, I'm telling y'all, hear me. I've been in that place when I said people don't want to hear me. I've been there before. Like, it's so many coaches, it's oversaturated. Been there. But I had to get that out the way. Like, you know what? But they not me, right? I am who I am. And if it's one person that gets on, I'm helping one person. If it's two people that gets on, right? I get on. You show up and you show up well. Absolutely. And so I've learned that that's my job here on the earth, is to teach us how to show up well, no matter what, no matter how people feel, no matter what people think about us. You gotta show up well. I used to be that one. I just always thought about what people gonna think. When I started pastoring, I was like, "Who, Lord? Like, what are people gonna think? I'm a single. I'm divorced. I'm not married. All these kind of things. I am my feelings, right? At first, but that's why you gotta measure those things out, right? But God, this is what God wants. So I can't go against what God wants. I have to obey Him. I can't be concerned about the people. You can't be concerned about the people. You cannot be concerned about people going to say. People are going to talk whether you're doing good or whether you're doing bad. It doesn't matter to Sonny. They're always going to have something to say. You just have to decide what they say, what they're going to say about you. Because my thing is, what I do know, what I've come to know, is that it eventually always, like, it's undeniable. When you are who you are, they can say whatever they want to say about who they are, but your fruit will always speak for you. If you don't learn nothing else from me and coming on these lives, I want you to know you have nothing to prove. Your fruit will always speak. And that's what I even told, the people that go to the ministry. When people get to talking and people start saying stuff, right? And they're like, Pastor, now I'm not saying you don't defend your leader, because you should defend your leader. But sometimes you don't have to entertain certain conversations, because the reality is that your fruit will always speak. I remember somebody was saying, listen, and I don't have to say the name, so it's okay. I remember somebody came and was like, man, like, um, she can't preach, right? And I told them, I said, listen, you don't even have to say nothing back. Like, don't even entertain it. Because maybe I'm not for them, and that's okay, you know? But the one thing about it is your fruit will always speak for you. So get out that self talk, right? Change the conversation that you have within yourself. Understand who you are, whose you are. Understand who you are. And when you understand who you are, I don't walk with confidence in myself. I walk with the confidence of who God is, who He is to me, how He shows up through me, what He has said, the confidence I have in Him. That He says that He that has begun a good work, He's going to perform. I ain't got to do nothing. It's Him. He gonna show up through me. And so I don't show up like it's me. I show up because I know it's God. And that's what I want us to learn how to do, is that when self tries to tell you what you're not capable of, what you cannot do, and all those things, you have to remind yourself that God is the one that sent me. And because God has sent me, God is going to do it through me. Because this is what God wants me to do. God is going to provide every step of the way. That's it. I just came to help y'all. And y'all know I don't mind being transparent. It's okay. I really don't. Transparency is what heals people. Transparency. Some of y'all right now, y'all scared to be transparent sometime about your story. It's your story. It's your life. Listen, it's your story. It's your reality. And it ain't gonna change. And so I'm not afraid to tell my story. I'm not afraid to tell where I messed up. I'm not afraid to tell where I made mistakes. I'm not afraid to say where I slip up. But hear me, just as much as I'm not afraid, because we can be so intentional about telling people our mistakes that we're not confident enough to tell people where we thrive. And so I've learned that just as much as I've been able to tell people, hey, listen, this is my life, this is my story, being transparent, but I'm also confident enough to know this is who I am. This is what I'm called to. right? You'll hear me say it. This is what I'm called to do. And we can be confident. I don't know who I'm talking to today. Listen, I know that I'm speaking. We can be so confident in our mistakes and not confident in our success. We can be so confident about the spaces that we've messed up in and where we have not done well. But when is the last time you celebrated what you've done well? When is the last time you celebrated your own victory? When was the last time that you celebrated the fact that you are who you are? We can be so quick and we let other people talk about our mistakes and talk about what we're not and talk about what we did not do. But when was the last time you celebrated where you are? That you're not there no more. That I'm growing. And it may not be the growth that I really want to see, right, within myself, but it's still growth. I didn't used to read, but now I'm reading my word. I didn't used to pray, but now I am praying. I didn't used to do X, Y, and Z, but now I'm doing this. I didn't write a chapter in my book, but now I got a chapter. We can be so focused, y'all, in our defeat that we miss all the wins. I don't know who I'm talking to this morning. You are so caught up in what has gone wrong in your life that you forget what you have done right. Why? Because it's the story that you keep telling yourself. Some of you have rehearsed your pain over and over and over again. When someone comes to you and they ask you, tell me about yourself. You start with your pain. You start with disappointments. You start in defeat and you stay there. I love when I watch Bishop S.Y. Younger. I feel God so strong. And I got a coaching call. She gonna give me 5 minutes of grace. I love when I watch Bishop Younger when he does the consecration. At the end of consecration, he always allows them to come up and do testimonies, right? And they're telling their story, and sometimes the story begins to get a little too long. And Bishop Younger would say, now turn it to victory. Ooh, I feel God. I try to keep these like real low key, and I try not to be too preachy on here. But I feel God, and He says, "Turn it to victory." That's what He tells them. They're focusing too long on what went wrong. He's like, I need to hear victory in this. And I came to tell somebody this morning, you have been telling the story of what has gone wrong for too long. The Lord said this morning, He said, I need you to turn it to victory. Come on. He said, I need you to turn that story around. You've been talking about your pain for so long. You've been talking about what you do not have and what you have not had for too long. He said, listen, I need you to turn it. Come on. Somebody drop that in the chat. Turn it to victory. Turn it to victory. Turn it to victory. I know you grew up without a mom. Turn it to victory. Come on. I know you grew up without a father, but what have you done well, even though you didn't have a father in your life? You was able to become one of the best fathers. Come on. I know you didn't grow with your mother, but you become one of the best mothers. I know you didn't grow up without a lot of money, but what have you been able to do since you did not have? Turn it to victory. Because the story that you keep telling yourself is dictating how you show up. And you've been telling that story for too long. Turn it to victory. Turn it to victory. Turn it, y'all, to victory. This is how we build better. I know you were divorced. I know he left you. I know she left you. I know it didn't pan out the way you thought it was going to pan out. And you've been telling that same story for 10 years. Because I was married, I got a divorce, and I lost everything in that divorce. Okay, turn it to victory. But where are you at right now? What have you been able to do? I've come to understand my assignment here on this earth, and it is to get people out of being stuck in delay, in pain, in grief, in trauma. It's never the fact that you don't have it. Don't I want you guys to understand that you have everything that you need to be successful. For where you are right now, you are prepared for it. But the number one problem is that you have to know it. And the only way that you will know it is if you learn how to turn it to victory. So today I ask you, what is the story that you've been telling yourself? Pusher, you are a pusher for sure. Absolutely. I'm not going to let you stay there. You got too much. This is why I'm coming here on Wednesdays, every Wednesdays. If y'all need motivation, you like I'm down. This is where you want to be. Every Wednesday, y'all come on here so we can have this conversation. I'm gonna hold you accountable. You may not ever join my coaching program, and that's fine. You may not ever join my church. That's fine too. But every Wednesday, I'm gonna come on here and I'm gonna push you. You're gonna think about the words that I'm saying. Now, sometimes I talk about business, sometimes I talk about mindset, sometimes I talk about a little bit of everything. It just depends on however the Lord leads me. I'll just let him lead me at this point. But I'm going to push you because I'm so tired of having these same conversations about why we're not where we're supposed to be. I'm tired of having these same conversations about why we're not building wealth. I'm tired of having these same conversations about why we're not healed. I'm tired of having these same conversations about why we're not further along than what we're supposed to be. I'm tired of people telling me that I had this dream since I was 20 years old and you 50 and you've done nothing with it. I'm tired. So people that don't want to join my coaching program, I decided to come live and get on your nerves. I want to agitate you in a good way though, until you do everything that you are called to do. I am going to agitate you until you fulfill your God-given. I'm going to agitate you until you get healed for real. I'm going to agitate you until you come out of this poverty mindset. I'm going to agitate you until you come out of this mindset that says nobody wants to hear from me. Nobody wants to buy from me. I am going to agitate you until your trauma no longer shows up in your assignment. I'm going to agitate you until you die empty. That's my assignment. That's why I'm here. You will die empty if you keep coming around. It's up to you. I'm going to make sure that you get out and you do everything that you're supposed to do. I'm going to make sure you follow through with every vision that God gave you. So this is why when I first started doing this, I called it the go moment, right? The go moment was to get me just going, right? The Lord showed me it was like, just go, whenever you feel it, go live, right? Then I realized I said, man, but because of my schedule, my goals begin to dwindle. I said, I got to get consistent. I got to do something on a consistent basis. So I chose Wednesdays. Wednesdays are my day off. It's the only day I can do. I don't know. And it don't work for everybody else, but it works for me. So y'all gonna have to get in with my schedule. All right. But Wednesdays are my days off. So it's typically the only day that I can do this. But I realized I had to put a date to it. I had to put a time to it because it didn't get done. And then I realized I went from the go moment to build better. And so in my go, I'm learning how to build better. And so y'all come hang out with me every Wednesday at 8:30. Set your alarm, put your AirPods in, get your beats, whatever you got to do. Don't schedule no meetings around this time. Just give me 1 hour of your time to help push you. Take notes. Listen, the recordings, they may go off on Facebook, but if you follow my YouTube channel, all of these videos are in YouTube. So you can always go back and watch. So if it's something that you miss, you can go back and watch. I talked about systems the other week. If you missed that live about systems, go back and watch it. Go catch up. Go catch up. Come back and watch these lives. Take notes so that we can build better in this next season. All right. I love y'all so much. I gotta go. I got some coaching I gotta do for the rest of the day. Wednesdays are my coaching days. That's a part of your schedule, understanding the days. So I got some coaching calls. I'm actually on the phone all day. I got 1, 2, 3. I got 5 coaching calls. I'm gonna be on the phone all day. Y'all keep me lifted in prayer. But I love y'all so much. Thank y'all that hopped on here, that came and hung out with me this morning. Share this live with somebody that you know needs it. But I love y'all so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.